The Billy Napier experiment at Florida got off to a very rocky start in 2022, and I don't see things getting much better for the Gators and Coach Napier in 2023. Things started out rough last year, and it looks like they're starting to get even worse. We're going to talk about what's happened here recently, how it impacts FSU, and we'll even share a little nugget that we learned later in the video as well. Last week at the NFL draft, the Gators did really well. They put 6 guys into the league through the draft. They had several other guys sign with teams after the draft. I believe the count was up near 9, 10, 11 guys that made NFL rosters. One of those obviously being Anthony Richardson, who was a top 5 pick that played quarterback for the Gators last year. The question then was posed on social media, in the media, in a lot of different places. How in the heck did Florida end up with 6 draft picks, 10 plus guys on NFL rosters, and a top 5 quarterback, and somehow manage 7 losses? It's one thing for them to have lost to teams like LSU and Georgia that had similar amounts of talent, but the fact that they lost to a Vanderbilt team with a top 5 quarterback and several NFL draft picks is something that even Vandy fans and the media were picking at and making fun of. There's only really one answer for this. Billy Napier just isn't a very good coach. He mismanaged talent. He struggled to put AR and others in good situations. He made horrible game day decisions that led to awful results on the field. And that's what they're stuck with in Gainesville. They're going to have a roster and a team in 2023 that has significantly less talent, especially at that quarterback position, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. But it really is going to be a struggle for them. If you can't manage a team with a lot of talent, how in the world are you going to be able to manage a team in 2023 that has significantly less talent on it? It's going to be rough for the Gators this year, and certainly that helps FSU. We'll go deeper into that in just a moment. Then the portal has opened up, and that window has come and gone, but you can now sign guys out of the portal. You can bring in guys as transfers, and multiple media members in Gainesville have attacked Billy Napier for the way he's handling the portal. Jacob Rudner of Gators 247 site, Swamp 247, called out Billy Napier and basically said that they've missed out on a couple of guys because they're upsetting top prospects by asking them to send in film or record themselves working out or doing this, that, and the other. And guys just aren't willing to do that. And I understand that sometimes recruits and sometimes even transfers can be kind of drama-filled, and there are 2 sides to every story, but it sounds like a couple of guys are just saying, no, other top Power 5 programs want me. I'm not going to sell myself to you. I'm going to go where I'm wanted. Jacob Rudner mentioned at least one guy, didn't say his name, that this has happened to, a high-level transfer that Florida wanted, but just didn't really approach the right way. Nick De La Torre of Gators Online says that they're moving way too slow, and they're not evaluating guys until they've already hit the portal. They've got a staff that they've gloated about and an army of hundreds of staffers that they can't seem to get to evaluate guys when they're jumping in the portal or even before that. And so now the media is even kind of turning on Napier and calling him out pretty publicly this week for how he is recruiting. The media knows that there are massive holes in UF's roster and on that team that they need to fill, and they don't have the confidence in Napier to get it done. Just before I move on to the quarterback situation, I do want to give a little bit of love to our friends over at Sativadol. We've spoken about them. They are a great company to work with. I really enjoy their products. If you have any aches, pains, bruises, bumps that you need a little bit of CBD for, go ahead and try Sativadol out. You can go to sativadol.com. You can use code TJ25 at checkout to get 25% off. They even have stuff for your pets, whether you have muscle aches, joints, any kind of pain, bumps and bruises. Sativadol will get you taken care of. They are a first-class company, Knoll-founded, vet-owned. They've worked with us in their partnership with Gramco, their sister company. If you like the Delta 8 products, go check out their CBD gummies. Really good stuff. Again, their roll-on cream, their gel that has just come out is really strong. 3,000 milligrams of CBD in it. Go check them out today. Sativadol.com, TJ25 for 25% off. Okay, this quarterback situation at UF is not very good either. Anthony Richardson, for all of his failures, all of his struggles, everything that he went through last year, at least had a lot of talent, and he won them a couple of games by himself. You think about that Utah game specifically, he did some really ridiculous things to keep them in that game and ultimately give them the win. They don't have a good quarterback on the roster this year. They brought in Graham Mertz, who is, by all accounts, and the people that I'm talking with, just an absolute dumpster fire of a quarterback. It really seems like they're going to struggle there at that position. And even though they brought in Graham Mertz, he hasn't separated from Jack Miller, who is, again, just not very good. I think that quarterback position is going to be a huge struggle for the Gators this year. There are rumors that they may even reclassify a high school sophomore in Austin Simmons to the 2023 class. He's a 25 kid right now. It sounds like they might even be looking for a high school sophomore to come in and try and fix some of the issues that they have at quarterback. It's gone on record, and Billy Napier has even said this, that they evaluated 23 portal quarterbacks before ending up with Mertz. I don't know if that means 22 other guys wouldn't send in their film or what the situation was, but Mertz did get the job, and Florida's going to struggle mightily at that quarterback position this year. Meanwhile, turn all of this that we're saying and let's look at what's going on with Florida State. Well, Florida State has one of the most solid rosters in all of college football. We've told you and we've talked about the fact that they bring back more talent than any other team in the country at 89% of returning production. We've also talked about how Mike Norvell has an excellent portal strategy, that he has, for all of the doubters and naysayers and people that think Mike Norvell isn't the guy based on this, that, and the other, Mike Norvell has executed his portal philosophy and strategy absolutely flawlessly in his time that he's been in Tallahassee. Even finishing his first year, he got Jermaine Johnson out of Georgia, who ended up being a first-round pick. I think that you know that Mike Norvell is an absolute game changer when it comes to the portal. And what they're doing in Gainesville just really can't compare with that. You also look at the quarterback situation at Gainesville and then compare it to Florida State. You guys know about Jordan Travis. There's no reason to delve into that. We've done 6 videos this offseason about how great Jordan Travis is and is going to be. Also, shout out, happy birthday, Jordan Travis, today on May 2nd as we record this. But you look at Jordan Travis and you compare it to their quarterbacks, that's not even fair. I won't even make those comparisons. But I'm telling you right now, Tate Rodemaker would start at UF. There's no doubt in my mind. Seeing what he did on the field against Louisville, Tate would go in and win that job against Graham Mertz. And so I think that A.J. Duffy would probably compete. I'm not saying that A.J. would go out and win it, but I think Florida State may have 3 quarterbacks on their roster better than anything that Florida has right now. And so you look at the QB room, you look at the QB recruiting of what's going on, and I know that Florida's got some guys committed in later classes that are pretty highly sought after. We'll see if they stick or not after a rough year that they're going to have. But you look at the QB room, and it's completely different at Florida State. And then you look at the media. You look at the way that the Gainesville media is already starting to question Napier publicly and call him out, and how that's going to impact their team long term, what kind of relationship that's going to have. When the media starts to call a coach out, the narrative around that coach starts to change. And you saw that with Jimbo. You saw that with Dan Mullen recently. You saw that with Manny Diaz down in South Florida. I think that that is very key, and that was very telling this week, and something that I don't know that anybody was expecting just a year and a half into Napier's tenure. I think that you look at the media around Florida State, and what is it? Man, it's so positive right now. Not only from a local perspective, but also from a national perspective. Everyone loves what FSU is doing right now. Everyone's a Mike Norvell believer. Everyone's buying stock in the Noles, whether it be Josh Pate or J.D. Piquel or whomever. Everyone loves what the Noles are doing. And so it's different worlds in covering both of these programs right now. The Gators have a very brutal schedule, and I don't think Florida State's is super easy either. But I do think that Florida is looking straight down the barrel of 5, 6, or 7 losses this year. Their team just isn't very good. They're not coached very well. They've got a bad quarterback battle that's going on, and they've got a media that's starting to turn on them. And I just don't see it working out super well for the Gators. Stranger things have happened, and teams have certainly pulled together to bond and face odds and adversity and do that in a really, really special way, when expectations were low and they would find a way to get the job done. I don't know that that happens with this Gator team, and I think it moves Billy Napier even closer to the hot seat. I'm not saying he gets fired this year. I'm not saying that anything like that happens. But I do think he enters year 3 in a similar situation that Mike Norvell entered year 3. A kind of prove it to me year. If he's not able to get things done in year 3, if he's not able to get them over the hump, whether that be with a true freshman quarterback in DJ Lagway or a kid that reclassified in Austin Simmons, I think Billy Napier's tenure at Florida could be over before it even really got a chance to get started. It's good news for the Noles, though. Your biggest rival and your closest rival, just a couple of hours away, down 75, down 10, is right there, and they are struggling. Florida State has an opportunity to capitalize in a massive way, and let this be known that this is their state. From a recruiting perspective, from an on-field perspective, and every situation that you could imagine it, Florida State has the keys right now to take this thing to another level, and the struggles and laughs that we have about what's going on in Gainesville will only help that. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Billy Napier? What do you think about the direction of the UF program? What do you think this season is going to hold for them? Let's talk about it down below in the comments. Again, I think this is great news for the Noles. I think that Miami might start to put some things together. We'll see what Cristobal does. We'll kind of assess what they've got going on over there. But I think this is really good for the Noles. I think it would be great for the Seminoles to continue to see Florida take the downward trend and downward spiral. And I think there's a really good chance that that happens. Appreciate you guys as always for checking out the videos. If you watched this far and you watched 10 plus minutes of me rant about our rivals, make sure that you're subscribed. If you want access to any kind of inside info, we do have that in our Discord. The link is down below in the description. If you want to know more about who Florida State is and should be targeting in the transfer portal, you can do me a favor and click right here.